Hello, fellow Mythrunians! Welcome to another weekly live stream. Hopefully, I have sound this time. Looks like I do. Mythrunians, welcome to another weekly live stream. Yeah, and then hopefully I have sound this time. Looks like I do. Mythrunians, welcome to another weekly. Oh yeah, that's hopefully I have sound this time. Looks like I do. Mythrunians, welcome to another. Oh yeah, that's hopefully I have sound this time. Looks like I do. Mythrunians, welcome to another. Oh yeah, that's got echoes. Hopefully I have sound this time. Looks like I do. Welcome to another. Oh yeah, that's got echoes. Nice. Welcome to another. Oh yeah, that's got echoes. Nice. Welcome to another. Oh yeah, that's got echoes. Nice. Okay. Oh yeah, that's got echoes. Nice. Trying to. Okay. Oh yeah, that's got echoes. Nice. Trying to. Okay. Oh yeah, that's got echoes. Nice. Trying to. All right. All right. Let's see if we. Oh no. See. So that is not OBS doing that. Oh no. See. So that is not OBS doing that. Let's see. Hey Woozy, how's it going? Hey Woozy, how's it going? Alright, there's some way. Yeah, just it's constantly fighting with the streaming software and trying to get my new setup. Yeah, just it's constantly fighting with the streaming software and trying to get my new setup. Like you can hear it's echoing back through the thing. Oh, I bet I know why. I'm being dumb. Oh, I bet I know why. I'm being dumb. Yeah, it's only faint because I've turned off the local audio. I think it's because of this YouTube streaming, maybe. Yeah, it's only faint because I've turned off the local audio. I think it's because of this YouTube streaming, maybe. No, that doesn't seem to be playing any sound. On the positive note, when you post chat messages, I hear a sound now, so that's good. I got that. On the positive note, when you post chat messages, I hear a sound now, so that's good. I got that. Yeah, Peter Doop. But where is the audio loopback coming from? Where is the audio loopback? It's not here. It's not here. Okay, so let's go back over to the streaming computer and see what here is doing it. Yeah, it's... Let's go back over to the streaming computer and see what here is doing it. It's at the... Yeah, it's at the delay of the stream. Because it comes in like 15 seconds. It's at the delay of the stream. I wonder if it's one of these. If it's one of these. I wonder if it's one of these of these. Okay, so that's working. Okay, so that's working. Oh, I know what it is. I really am being dumb. I opened this YouTube video earlier to capture the link for one of the chat programs. I'm so dumb. That is much better. Okay. Wow. Okay, so yeah, let me turn back on desktop audio. Testing. Okay, let's make sure that that is working correctly. Yep, you guys can hear that. For some reason, the audio doesn't come through for the video capture device. I'm not sure why. Like if I was to play music over on the computer that you guys can actually see. Yeah, thanks. Although I didn't hear your little babling. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. It's just delayed. It's delayed with the stream. So I'll hear the babling when you guys see it pop up on the screen and not earlier. It's really kind of unfortunate that OBS doesn't have that built into their little chat, because it's instant. And seems like that would be an easy thing for them to add. What was I going to check? I was going to check one more time to see if audio is working. Yeah, no, so if I run Mythruna, we aren't going to hear the music or anything. So for some reason, but it's cool. I like lined up the video with the chat over here, so even though you can guys see you're getting like part of the screen missing down here at the bottom, you can see that that's, and then this is where my start bar is, because I have my start bar on the side. So you get chopped off a little bit, but not much. And I do believe that my settings are set that the music is up. No, I didn't. Something to consider, I guess. Yeah, so that would have all made sound. So I'm going to have to think of a different solution for sound. Oh, I should have, while I was in there, I should have shown you guys the fixes I made. Last time we were working on collision shapes and stuff, I got all that working earlier today. Cool. Yeah, on my main system I'm up to Windows 10 now. It's just this system that's on Windows 7 because I don't want to mess with the config. And I still like it. Little things about Windows 10 annoy me all the time. Like one thing I've discovered, if you leave a folder open and there's any media in that folder at all, like an image or a MIDI file or MP3 or anything like that, I don't know, actually don't know if that's required, or you could just have the folder open. If you leave a folder open, it will slowly gobble up all of your CPU over a few days. And you kill the file explorer and all your CPU comes back. I always think, at work, at day job, we do code reviews and stuff, and I was like, "Sup, somebody missed a code review." So let me show you what I got working. Yeah, I'm not moving up to Windows 11 yet. I do like the little chat sounds. That's so much better. Alright, so if we go to let me make it light outside for you guys, since YouTube does not like dark scenes. Yeah, so let me turn on so if we open one of these guys, it does, like, everything lines up. It doesn't slide around. Even this little guy down here. Nope. Oh, the other thing is I fixed when you are in debug mode, you have to cycle through, but it turns off your debug shape so that we don't have the like debug orbs. And look, all the doors lined up. You can walk through the whole doorway. You can close it. Stays where it is. It even works for, I think this is a solid object. Yeah, so that's fine. But I made this finally an object that you can push around. And so it's kind of cool because watch, let me see if I get it going. Open. And so if you bump it at all, like it'll lean over because now the center of gravity's changed, right? It went to sleep, and I did not. I'm not like really trying to get these real rigid bodies to be animated. I think it's cool that it works, but that's not my goal. So I'm not going to fix this particular thing. But really, when the shape changes, it should wake the object up because see, it's still asleep, so the physics doesn't know that it needs to. But if I just bump it a little bit, it'll fall back down. So that's kind of cool. Oh yeah. So I was thinking if I made it. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not gonna mess with this too much. I got it working, and it was only just a couple hours ago that I finally got it all working. So, yep. And I got rid of the bounding spheres. It's an optional thing now. Optional in the code, not optional through the UI yet. But so anyways, kind of cool. The only thing I haven't fixed is this, and I'm wondering if that's. I need to look into that. I'm wondering if it's a JMonkey engine has it built in that if you shift from one pose of a rig to another, it does this like 1/10 of a second worth of mixing of the two, so that it smooths out the animations. And I'm just wondering if I haven't advanced the frame far enough, so it's like still tweening into its final position or something. But I need to look into that, and it's just, again, it's not something I need right now, so because all of the regular mobs have their collision shapes in the correct place. So yeah, earlier I was playing with oh, see, we're right on again this stupid let me push her forward because I hate being on that terrain boundary. It keeps like lagging the game. Alright, you go over here so that I don't have to do that. So the reason I'm holding my sword is because I was playing with chopping her, so I was making sure that I could making sure that whacking her would like be detected at all. Oops, I accidentally chopped into the thing over here. Alright, so let's chop her some more. And the down, oh yeah, need to fix that. So let's use the middle mouse to swing down and hit her in the head. Bonk, 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 bonk. So anyway, that's what I was playing with right before the thing. Ooh, whoops. Okay. Yeah, so eventually that will resolve to something. Whack, 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 whack. Yeah, that's not perfect, obviously. It's pretty cool. Yeah, alright. So enough playing around. Let's get started on working on some actual stuff. I am so glad to have audio on the channel. You know what, and I got the hookup correct, so I finally got the cable I needed so that this 2 computer streaming is working okay. I don't have like weird resolution on my monitor. I don't have to like manually move from one monitor to another. So next week's setup should be a lot easier. It took me like an hour to get set up today. But next week should be plug and play for the most part. Oh, we've got a hole in the ground over here. Anyway, so that's all good. Let's go ahead and get started on what we're going to work on today. And I'm still kind of figuring it out myself. Blink, blink, blink. Let me check what's going on over here. Yep, somebody's saying it's too late where they are for watching the live stream. It's the unfortunate part. Aha! Nice. Welcome to the live stream. Alright, so I'm going to be messing around in the rigger tool today, trying to figure out where I left off last time I was working on this. Trying to turn a lot of that AI prototyping we were doing in previous live streams into real code, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. But fortunately we'll be working in here in this test tool, so no, I don't use IDEs in general, just which is a longer story that many of the chat regulars will have been familiar with. I haven't used the JMonkey Engine SDK in probably 10 years. So these are all like this is a standalone JMonkey Engine application using the Lemur user interface library. And so I built a lot of tools around that. That's just basically the game. And then I use my own, well, I use a program, just a regular programmer's editor for editing the game, and I build with the command line. Correct. And then if I need something visual, I have my own tools. Like, well, Mythruna is a game where you can create a lot of the things in the game. So, in a sense, Mythruna itself acts as its own tool. But then I have these little test applications. And actually, this application is not meant for this. It's meant for rigging models. So if I have made something in Blender, I have this tool that I can use to load her up. Oh, yeah, there's a bunch of exceptions going by. So I have a tool I can use to load her up and then set like attachment points for different things. So that's like the eye you guys probably can't see that, but there's a little attachment points for things. Like here's where the backpack gets attached. Left hand, right hand, left hand. There's even some little places for little bags on the hip. I need to do that on both sides and for all the models, actually, now that you can have bags. Yeah, it's a combination between things. So what happens is, so the original version of Mythruna was written in like 2011, and went through a few iterations for a couple years before I had to sideline development for a while. And the thing about Mythruna is that you can make a lot of the stuff in the game. So if you want to, obviously it's like Minecraft, right? So you can build buildings, and but you can make your own objects and stuff too. And so for a long time, when I needed a new object or something, I would just load up the game and make the object in the game. I'll show you. Come on, you can load faster than that. Okay, hang in the world. Kind of. So in here, let's get it loaded and then we'll see. Well, so any player at this point, let me roll time forward so we can get it light outside. So any player can come here to the blueprints tool, and so like there's some defaults that you get, and I've made some other things. So you get like so if you edit the blueprint in here, you can make whatever object you want in here. So let's, oops, yeah, that's not what I want. Edit the blueprint. Let's say we're gonna make, I want to copy it. I want to copy the blueprint. Yeah, chair copy, that's fine. And so like say I wanted to put, for some stupid reason, I wanted to put dirt legs on the bottom here or whatever. I can make whatever thing I want. I bet there's a billion spaghetti code in your game. Well, it's on his third rewrite technically, so it's been split into a bunch of like open source packages, and then the actual game specific stuff's written on top of that. Except for I'm not crazy. Well, you don't know that. And so now now that I've created that object, I can go in here with the object tool, and so I've got my weird chair now, and I can just place that down. And so all the objects in the game are made this way. So all the objects in the game are made this way, and even like all of these things were made that way. The axe, the sword, everything was made like this. All right. Well, good night. But anyway, the code is well organized because I've organized it into a bunch of yet to be released open source packages that are the underlying tech. And then so when I was rewriting the engine, good night. When I was rewriting the engine, I wrote the blocked tool partly as a test of the open source stuff, and partly as a way for my kids and I to create objects, because I was making a little like tower defense style game with them, and so I had like a bunch of different things we'd create in this block editor. And so this is essentially a broken out version of the editor that's in the game, and you can make everything. So like here I have like you make buildings or objects and stuff for the game. So this is like a dock that I was working on, and that kind of stuff. And so I build these little tools, and usually there's some standard stuff between them, so they're pretty easy to roll together. And then today, of course, we are how am I out of the... Oh, I know, because I didn't go back. Okay. So today we're playing with the rigger tool, which is just really meant for setting up the physics for a model created in Blender and testing its animations and things. So if you're in here, right, you can load up, you can say, I want to load up the dog, and I want to get that all rigged. Yeah. Well, again, like original Mythruna was a lot of spaghetti, because there's a whole lot of just getting it done for the day. But that's why it needed to have a... This is my doggie. She is no longer with us, but she's in the game forever. And so she's got her little... Oops. Idle too. So this is the more fun one. She's busier. Yeah, she doesn't... I guess she doesn't have a run yet, just the walk. Yeah, she's got a walk animation. Yes, this was my dog Kaylee, and I modeled her in the game. So now she's... Not yet, but there will be. I did my doggy first because she was nearing her end of life, and I thought it'd be fun to have her in my game forever. So, and in fact, this is an actual animation where I filmed her standing like in our front hall getting ready for a walk one time or whatever, and so then like I transferred that animation to the... I think she was like gonna sniff something down there. I'm pretty sure that's the one. Yeah, because this one... Oh no, maybe it's this one that's the real idol. The other one was one I created. Yeah, this is the real idol. So this is me. She was... I have a video of her waiting in the front hall to go for a walk. And she's trying to act like nonchalant, like, oh, no, I could go walk whenever. It's no big deal. No, nobody needs to rush. I'm just going to stand here and wait for a walk. Because for some reason, she was like that. She didn't want to look too excited about things, towards... Of course, when you start coming, then she'd get all excited, but... So you can even see her breathing and stuff. I don't know if you guys can see that in there, but she's breathing. Because I had, like, the video that I could, like, edit all the different frames the animation. Anyway, so it's fun having her in the game. But then, so this was all set up. Yeah, I did. Yeah. So the walk animation, I like filmed her. Oh, actually, I found a video of some guy. No, I hand did it, but I put the video in the back of Blender so that I had reference. And for the walk, I found some guy who had. She's walking really slow. I found a guy who had recorded his younger lab walking on a treadmill. So I had like really good reference video to work from to create a walk animation for her. Whereas the people, so the reference person is the human female. She's the one I created first. And this is just like default clothing that loads for her. It's kind of a weird color because the color setup changed. The fabric setup changed after a while because you can make your own custom clothing too. And so she's got like a walk and a jog. She doesn't have a run yet. And again, these are running really slow because they're normally scaled to the movement. But you get like a jog where she's like jogging. Anyway, so yeah, I did all these animations. Alright, so then when I had this tool that was already ready, and so then I added a tab over here. Yeah, but she's got kind of a swagger. Like when she walks, she has kind of a swagger. Yeah, she walks with purpose. And so the funny thing is, like, I temporarily have used those same animations for the male models because I just copied them over with the rig. And so if you look at the elf male, or the human male, yeah, she's got swag, yeah. And so if you look at the human male, of course, he's also defaulted to the female clothing because that's the default texture if you don't have clothes. Or if you are in this particular tool, it is, because otherwise they come out naked, and I figured somebody would complain eventually on YouTube if I had naked characters. But you can kind of see it's a slightly feminine walk that this guy has because it's copied over. So it's kind of funny to watch them walk. It almost fits for the elves, but for this guy it's a little weird. Eventually, so the plan is when I have a full animation set for the female, I'll then copy that animation to all of the other models and then customize them per. But the thing is, like right now, the human female is the one that's the standard base model, and so in Blender I'll create new animations for her that I can then incorporate into the game, and then I'll cut and paste them to all the others. And eventually, when the animation set's kind of complete, then I know I can go and tweak it. But as it is, if I were to do that now, then it would create pains for me when I cut and paste all the animations to the newer characters. So a couple things has to happen. One, I need to complete her animation set, and then I probably need to have built some of the more rigs because there's only 2 races represented right now, and there's supposed to be like 5 races or 6 races or something like that. Yeah, it's supposed to be the humans, the elves, the dwarves, the avians. Humans, elves, dwarves, avians, simians, pantherians. Yeah, I think there's 6 races total. No, I'm using JMonkey Engine's stock animation for that, at least. So far. Yeah, so the armature and all that other stuff is using JMonkey Engine, so when I export Blender as a GLTF and then I import it into... But that being said, the JMonkey Engine has, its own animation, and I tightly control that in the game. I set specific frames. I don't let it auto run or any of that stuff because I'm controlling the animation and the physics and stuff on the quote-unquote back-end server, and the client's just the visuals. So there's that's the other reason I created this tool, is because when you say compile binary, it saves 2 different versions of this model. One that's just the rig, and the collision shapes, and then one that's the rig with the actual mesh and coloring and all that other stuff, texture coordinates and things. And so on the back end where the physics runs, it loads the simpler version of the rig that's just got the it's just got the armature and the collision shapes, which you can kind of barely see, these little gray images that are the collision shapes. And so then it has like a lighter version to work with and to figure out where the attachments are and things, and then the client has the full version. And then I sync them up, time sent over the network like any other position. Anyway, so since I had this tool, it was easy to add this tab that lets me, of course I'm going to have to do like this. So now I've got this tool where I can load these models up. So if we get the human female, and she'll come in with a, and here she'll come in with the white jumpsuit. So she's basically just had her texture blanked out. Because you can make your own clothing in the game too, which is essentially like painting fabric on the textures. So JMonkey Engine has a low-level kind of networking where it does the client-server connection. You can create multiple channels. By default, there's one TCP channel, one UDP channel. I know because I wrote this networking layer. And then you can add additional TCP channels. But to do the networking, I have an open source package called Sim Ethereal. It's up on Bitbucket, or GitHub rather. Bitbucket. Yeah, Sim Ethereal. So if you went to the wiki, you can get the overview. So it does a real-time network syncing over UDP, so it's very, very efficient. It sends only the changes. It can generally fit 3 frames of data in under 1,500 bytes, which sounds crazy. I frequently redo the math to verify that I'm telling the truth about that. But because a lot of the object events that go over are like no change or very little change, they get really small. They get packed into small, like sometimes smaller than a byte for a given object update. So you can fit a lot in that 1,500 bytes. All that stuff's off the shelf. You can incorporate it into your own game, and in fact others have. The Sim Ethereal was apparently used by some space game that some guy created, and he had like 10,000 players or something, many thousands of players. So I know it's been well tested. Anyway, and here what we have is like no, it's rendered on the client. The server's only keeping track of the data basically. But in order to do physics, to know where the sword is when the hand's extended and stuff like that, the server needed to know what the rig was like. So the server will animate the rig, but it doesn't know what color anything is, or it doesn't know the actual mesh. And that may have to change just from the standpoint, because you can create your own clothing, you can make your own armor, it's all layered, and so, when I hit the sword on her, let me center the camera over her. So if I were to hit the sword on her arm, I kind of need to know which part of the clothing I hit in case she's got armor there, and that mitigates the damage, etc., etc. So eventually there may be more mesh data I need on the server. I'm hoping I can still get away with my collision shapes and get it close enough, and then a little bit of rolling dice, because in the heat of the battle, it's not exact. Anyway, so this tool allows me to like script a bunch of stuff, live script. So like if I change things in this Groovy file, it automatically updates, and so it's quick. It's good for the live streams because I can edit things on the fly. And what we did was we had a version of this where we were messing with auto pathing and figuring out navigation paths and things. And we rapidly got to the point where I needed to like solidify the NPC controls, and so I've hooked like the character driver that moves the models and controls what animations are playing and stuff like that. I needed to solidify all that because it's the NPCs are going to use a steering system, and so I'm basically emulating the steering system here, where I'm hitting forward, which would be them jogging or running, and then I'm using the mouse to steer left and right. I think I can also use I used to be able to use the keyboard. Oh no, yeah, WASD used to work. I think I turned that off and just used the mouse now because they were competing with one another. And the player and the mobs are supposed to be able to like auto walk up the steps like this, and that used to work in old Mythruna, and actually in the current Mythruna it does also, but these new ones, that's where I left off, kind of getting that to work, because I want to hook it up in such a way that it could be animated. In the original version of Mythruna and in the current version, when you hit a wall, it just lifts your character up and you kind of like climbs up the wall and steps up on the step. And that's the way this was working originally. But I want to do it in such a way that it could be animated, where you could see them, hike their leg up and step up onto the platform. There is first person and third person. In fact, there's 3 different modes of third person. Trying to make them step up ledges. Yeah. No, I mean, it's again like they would step up ledges, but just not in a way that I liked. So it's been kind of a constant battle of I get into the thick of it, discover that's not really the way I wanted to do it. Like, it had problems. But yeah, I mean, like, I had it all working, and I've it's still there. But that was all Groovy code. So when I tried to move it over to Java in a way that worked with all the different character models, I started moving it in here over to actual classes. Like, we have animation info, which lets me, say what ranges are walk and what ranges are jog, et cetera, for speed. And the movement animation, which can then be taken over to do different things. All these things I'm setting up the real classes, and as I do, I have to turn things off to do them the right way. And yeah, so then we got these movement modes, and so I have this whole new design, which I probably should have refreshed my memory on before we got started. So I end up sometimes redoing things, because as I try to make real code out of them, I find that they are inadequate. But yeah, there's I think there's a flag somewhere I could turn back on, and it would turn back on the ability to just kind of rise up. But I want to be able to do it in a way where it's essentially there's these movement modes, and so you have your standard bipedal movement mode, which is like 2-legged things walking and moving around. But then I think the way it is when you hit a point where you're going to step up, it changes the bipedal movement mode into like a step up movement mode. Yeah, absolutely. Inverse kinematics is on my list for sure. But so that's the other thing, is there's a certain amount of this that's temporary, because eventually I would like to have all of the animation be sort of a well-guided inverse kinematics system, which would work well with some of the way you can custom swing weapons and things like that. Hey, how's it going? I'm doing all right. Yeah. Me too. And since because you can create your own objects in the game, physics becomes a very important part. Like, if you make a sword out of stone, it's going to be harder to swing than one you make out of steel, and so on and so forth. And they'll all have different properties, and they need to factor into the physics of you, the player, and your strength, etc. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out where we left this. And somewhere I think I can force the step to work again. I tend to not close off doors. We've got the blocked here. And then I see where I can step up to and whether I can step up. Yeah, and I think so there's this big just got to remember where I left off. There's like this big comment here, this big comment here, which tends to indicate that this was someplace that I was going to come back and edit again later. So if we're blocked, then in this particular direct control setup, we may want to switch to a different movement mode. Yeah, so movement modes are what I was thinking. And the reason I was thinking movement modes is because how a mob steers on stairs, or certainly like a ladder or climbing up a wall, steering would be different than steering on the ground. When you're steering on the ground, you put one foot in front of the other or one foot behind the other as you walk forward or back. Whereas so your movement mode is very much tied to the animations you have available. And if you were climbing up a wall or a ladder, your movement mode would be a different set of animations, potentially more restricted, that kind of thing. So that you don't accidentally so that the AI doesn't accidentally walk off the edge of the ladder or off the side of the steps and so on and so forth. So that's what I was thinking, movement modes. Let me see if I have my design notes for this. We've done it more than June, but this is another. Yeah, this is exactly what I just said. More thinking about step-up forces. Yeah, I was using jumps. But I kind of wanted to make sure that I've revisited this so many times that I kind of want to make this right so I don't have to revisit it again. And so that's why I redo some things. Movement handler. This is the last thing I worked on as recently as October. Yeah. Alright. So then this is where I did a bunch of the design work for the movement animation stuff, movement mode. So let me see where I left off. I've prototyped a lot of the above, and now getting into wanting to replace the auto climb stuff in my old controller. Yep, that's where I am. See, that's the other thing, is it could be an action as well. You're like opening a door. These, by the way, creating notes files like this for yourself, tremendously useful, especially on a long project. And the better, as I've gone over the years, I've better organized them by putting dates in and things like that, so that I don't accidentally read something 5 years old. Okay, so here we go. In the first case, which is automatically something we've done before, associated with walking, since jumping, stepping wouldn't necessarily mean anything to a swimming, flying mode. True, also. Potentially just a step over things in the way. Yes, also good. But yep, up to this point I haven't needed to query the physics space. Climbing would be a completely different movement mode. So I started to believe that jumping, stepping is similar. Just different movement mode that eventually ends. That's more like 2. Okay. Technically, even walking up down hills could be like this, where we use a different animation set depending on physics rules. We certainly will. But definitely for stepping up, there might be a different animation set that involves IK and stuff. See, all these things we've already we've been touching on even in the chat. Maybe left right means something different when you were on the stairs. Yep. That doesn't mean that we couldn't still detect it and then walk forward case and auto swap the modes. Yeah, auto swapping modes. In fact, maybe let's play with that idea. Using an opportunity to do different things for a full meter versus half meter. Yep. In a sense, this could be treated like a special action that interrupts the current movement mode, similar to opening a door or chopping an anvil. Instead of controller, we can just detect when we need to switch to the special step jump actions, and then somehow wait. And that's where I left it. Helpful, but I didn't really leave myself enough information because, well, I mean, perhaps I did some designs on actions up here. But I suspect not. Yes, I cut and pasted the code over from, okay. So one of the things is when you hack code together, things work. You've hacked this little teeny bit of spaghetti together, and it works, and you've done these little tweaks here and there on the spaghetti, and you've made it like feel really good. And then when you extract that out into separate pieces, sometimes the feel goes away, and so you spend a lot of time trying to get that feel back, especially with control inputs and things. I'm a bit confused on the whole Groovy thing. What do you mean you have to convert your Groovy code to Java? So when I prototype it in this tool, I do a lot of Groovy coding just because it'll live reload it, which makes it more entertaining for live streams, I think. So that I can edit the, like I was trying to find if there's still a way to turn back on the step up stuff. Because then it would be like really clear. But essentially I can edit this file and it auto updates this without me having to restart the tool, and so I can just try a bunch of things and keep trying and trying and trying. But when I want to make the actual like game code, I prefer to have that as actual Java classes. They'll run a little faster and so on and so forth. Now a lot of Mythruna is groovy. A lot of the game logic is groovy, which have been over in previous things. Like when you click the treasure chest and it opens up, that's all like groovy, that controls that what clicking means on a treasure chest, that kind of stuff. But for this kind of low-level code, I prefer it to be in Java. But I prototype it in this Groovy tool because I can just retry. But a lot of it's like hacked together in these big giant functions, and then I need to extract it out into something that I can have set up differently for different size characters. A dog, a quadruped walks different than a biped, and so some of this doesn't make sense for a quadruped, and quadruped needs different. Like if, there's already an issue here. If I make a dog, is it the dog lab? We're about to find out. Okay, so you see this center on him or her. You can see this shape doesn't really fit a dog. It's made for humans, so that's something that I have to tweak. If I control the dog, like it walks okay, but when you get to like ramps and things, she's like not tipping. Like let me center back over on there. So you can see like she's not standing on that ramp. So I need to do some things, and it's way easier to do it in here where I can iterate quickly. In fact, I had a mode, like you can see that it knows the slope of this, and I did have a mode where it would rotate. Things would get weird. I wonder if that's still enabled. So a lot of times I'll put like a bunch of these options up top, or I can tweak them on and off. But yeah, I think I'm too far into my refactoring on this one. I think I turned off all of the directional stuff. But I was playing with having quadrupeds, rotate with the slope. And even that's not really how it would work, Because even if the dog's body is rotated, its legs, this is where IK would be good. Even if the dog's body is rotated, its legs would still kind of point down. It's not just a rotated dog. It's a dog climbing up a hill, and it's different. But anyway, I get to, more for IK. Yeah, exactly. Because you still want like the hips and chest and stuff to be upright, but just yeah. So anyway, but like prototyping, the fact that they don't slide down instantly really fast, that was crucial to do in here, because that took so much time, and if I had to like run the game or restart the tool every time, it would be a real pain. Whereas now, it's not perfect, but they can walk up a hill, and there's like some amount of station keeping, so that they don't instantly slip back down the hill. She's trying to stay where she is, and for an NPC that's okay, because they're going to go someplace and they're going to stop and they're going to do something. But it knows she's there, and it tries to put for a certain for a certain slope, it tries to put a certain amount of force to keep her on that slope, to counteract the slide. So that's why she can station keep more or less. For an NPC, this is good enough, because they're not going to stay there for very long before they move to somewhere flat. But anyway, let's get rid of the doggy and just focus on her. So yeah, we've left some debug doo-doo behind. So let's get back to what we were doing. Stutters going on as you're doing this. Is that normal? There's no lag for me. It may be the stream. Like, you can't see my CPU usage, but it's barely up to 50%. So I'm not really, I need to add a jump so that I could at least get up there if I wanted to. Yeah, so let me think. Yeah, because like in this tool it's smooth. There's very, very little going on. So I don't get any jerkies or any of that stuff. But it used to be much worse when I was also streaming on this computer, because the stream itself would take about half the CPU, and then the game, especially if I'm loading the game, yeah, YouTube would get very unhappy with me. In fact, I should probably bring up the little pop-up dashboard so I can see the things, see how many people are on, and yeah, so even still it's warning me that my bit rate's not sufficient, and so on and so forth. So but yeah, this two computer streaming thing, I'm not sure where the bottlenecks are going to be exactly. I imagine there's just a lot more going on, but I imagine we're going to get some network jitter as well as just one machine talking to the other jitter. All right, so we know we detect it. I think if I bring this up, we can see what we're seeing when I keep hitting the wrong. What we're seeing when we hit this is we're seeing that when she hits the step, she knows she hits a step, and then she does a query that says center camera. She does a query that says she can step up to there. And this is the other thing. I discovered that it's really annoying. There's a missing feature in the physics engine to be able to like do ray casting into actual objects. But she knows she can step up at least that high, and I think that might have been the last thing I was working on, was getting that as accurate as possible. It's more accurate for like full blocks. Oh no, she's way up there. Yep, center the camera. Yeah, no, that's pretty close. So she knows she can both step up and fit in the hole. And we should have seen some of that here. Yeah, blocked. How are we blocked? But like we can add some more debugging here if we want. I think this means we can step up. Excuse me. What are we? So we're making some yellow arrows. What were the yellow arrows for? So one big yellow arrow up here. Yeah, so that's for where I want to be. That's my body position, which is my center of mass. So that's where I want to be. And then yeah, so I think this was the code that let me walk up. Something like this. Let me see what that does. Perhaps bad things. Alright, so let's control her. And let's see what happens when we try to step up one of these guys. Yep, so see, that'll step up. But it's basically just like doing a sort of light jumping to make that happen. And that's not really what I wanted. So she does a big jump to get up there. I think it also does weird things sometimes on the hills. You know, she like goes super fast up the hills. But I mean, it worked, and it's a but see, it's like it's got momentum associated with it that I don't like. And see, she jumps up there. But you know, for this this is actually not an unrealistic way for her to decide to get up there. But then jumping would be a separate action, because it would limit the amount of steering she could do in the meantime. And so these are pretty good. But anyway, I didn't really like the I didn't really like this, but I'm gonna make this a Boolean. Old force jump. So that I remember what this code is for. Okay, so now we've turned that off again, and see, this is where it's useful to be able to have this little tool. So now it'll show me where she can get to. Also, sometimes it's wrong. Sometimes it gets that collision shape wrong, and yeah. And partly that's because I do not have the ability to accurately raycast into the physics engine. And that's a much longer story on why that's not done. Like I can query all kinds of shape collisions, but I cannot cast a ray down and have it accurately hit this. I mean, this it will because it's a whole block, but for partial blocks it won't work. And for ramps and things, it doesn't get the slope correct. So let's see where we are. So here we would detect that we want to step up. We would detect that this is our destination. Do I add flat times? Oh. We want to go a little forward. Destination. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing, is I'm trying to add, so when we do this, and that yellow arrow, there's a green arrow that runs through her body right now that's from her center of gravity up. Oh no, I guess it's all the way to maybe it's all the way from the ground. But anyway, from the physics engine perspective, her position's somewhere around here, and it wants to go up to there. And so she needs to perform some action to get up to where that yellow arrow is. And it should be far enough forward that she would get up to the wall. Because if it's straight above her, If it's straight above her, then she'll fall back down, right? So it needs to be a little bit forward just so she catches the ledge. But not far enough forward that I would need to detect if there's something here to block her way, because there might be a little bit of enough edge for her to step forward. We just need to be able to get up there. And like, it knows that she can't step through these, so if I was to control and try to get her over to one of these, it knows that she can't get there. Like, it should have blocked. Yeah, so there's no yellow arrow. It should have put a bunch of, yeah, no room to step up, no room to step up, no room to step up. So it knows she can't step through that hole. She's too tall. Now, if she could crouch, she could get in, but we don't do crouching yet. It's coming. But right now, no crouching. Okay, so then we are where we are. This right here is where we want to do the thing we want to do. Yeah, they'll be crawling. Yep. Well, that's the thing, is also if she were shorter, like if she were a dwarf, she'd be able to get through here. A dwarf would be able to step up through because dwarves will be shorter. Obviously, you know, a dog or a monkey person, a simian would be able to get through because they're shorter as well. She's just too damn tall. Yeah, so that's, you know, different size things. So how do I want to do this? I kind of hoped that I had already made this decision and that it was in my notes. Yep, that's true too, but it would take them a while. So we the players are magic beings in Mythruna, and we have access to magic that the regular NPCs do not, and one of the things we have is a build wand, which lets us disintegrate blocks, whereas an NPC would have to chip away at it for quite a while. So you've got time if an NPC has to bust through. Now, if it's something big, like a dragon or something, you know, that can just rip through the ground, yeah, then you're in trouble, because the ground will not stop them if they want you to get you. Yep, that's the beauty of the destructible environments. It adds like a whole different dimension to pathfinding. You know, do I bust the door down, or, you know, do I find the key for the door, kind of thing. Yeah, so I'd kind of hoped that I had made this decision and that I had left notes for myself on where to continue. So what do we do here? Yep. Dragons are big. I think if you unleash a dragon on the world, you move to a different part of the world. When there are dragons. Dragons will be very, very big. There's no dragon-proof material that I have conceived of. Dragons are supposed to be kind of like a force of nature. They're, you know, force of nature with deeper lore. They're not supposed to be killable. I can't promise that they won't be killable, but I'm designing them to be unkillable. But in a fair way. Right, so maybe if enough players teamed up, kind of thing, they might be able to sort out some way to kill a dragon, but from my perspective, that's not realistic as a goal, to try to kill one. You just kind of move away. I spent a lot of time thinking about that, like how much player agency should I provide in wrecking a world, or wrecking a section of the world that always moves forward. And I imagine there's a certain amount of levels of quests and NPCs and things that I'm going to have to allow the player to turn off, because I'm very much a fan of the sort of keep moving forward mindset. Nope. You should not. I think you should avoid waking the dragons. They'll be rare enough anyway, and mostly, I don't want to get too much into the lore because there's a certain amount of surprise I want to leave, but just say best avoided. Yeah. So, if a dragon's already awake, there will be signs and it will be obvious, and you just don't mess with them. And if they're not already awake, there'll be signs. It may not be obvious, but you also don't want to accidentally stumble upon one and wake it up. But again, like there are, I work on this in my head sometimes, like how much player agency should I give to destroy entire sections of the world. Yeah, they're supposed to be kind of like a volcano in a sense, right? Unstoppable force that you should just avoid. But if it happens, you figure out how to deal with it and or move along. But there'll be a source of quests and story, and it's all about writing a story, right? So, if you tell the story about you were digging this mine and you went really, really deep, and you detected that there was something valuable there, so you were just digging, and then you pull a block away and you see this giant eye behind it that opens up and looks at you, and you beat feet out of there as fast as you can. That's a story to tell, right? Yeah. I don't want to get too much into dragon lore. It would ruin some surprises that I have for way down the line. Plus, it's like so far down the line that's like promising things that are just could be figments of my imagination at this point. But I have dragons well planned out. I just don't know if I'll be able to implement all of it. Yeah. But I like what I was going back to, player agency. Like, Minecraft allows you to like turn off, fire spreading. But if you wanted to go to a town and set one of the buildings on fire and trash your reputation for that whole area of the continent, you should be able to like burn a town down to the ground if you want to. People are gonna like hate you for it. But then, what about more subtle things like, there's a group of NPCs transferring some object to the town. They're like religious pilgrims or something, and there's this ancient religious relic that they're trying to get to the town or whatever. And so you think and be a good citizen, you're going to help them out, good Samaritan. You help them get in there, and you might have to fight some people off that are trying to stop them from doing that, etc., etc. And it turns out that the relic was a big bomb, and they're going to use it to level the city or something like that, and you just help them do that. Obviously, there should be some warning signs and stuff, but I like the idea that you can get involved in something that has big impact on the world. Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, this is one of the things we're working on, is adding NPCs to the towns so that they can start to live. And there'll be townsfolk that can get upset with you when you try to do things, and get happy with you when you try to help with things as well. So, do I want to do this as an action or a separate movement mode? Because I haven't really designed actions yet. Or have I? Did I start? Yeah, so my original plan for today was to have started this 2 or 3 hours before the live stream so that I was all caught up again. But okay, body context has the movement mode, and I want to think it should have a set. Is it a list of actions that run? Let me double check my notes. Did I say anything about actions in here? Alright, let's just hack something together. So we want made probably just one action at a time. And it will override the current movement mode. So let's call it character action. What's it going to need? What did we give the movement mode? We gave the movement mode the body. We gave it the anim pump. So it's going to be an interface. And then we'll have step up action implements character action. It's going to have the body. We'll give it an anim pump, but it's not going to need it. So I'm thinking we'll have these actions. Whoops. So we'll have like one for stepping up the short ones and one's for jumping up the short ones. Character action. So let's give it all the same things at the moment. Okay, so that should be fine. And so we will have, we'll assume one action at a time right now. And then there's going to be some update. For now, we'll just give it the same thing all the updates get. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, and I want it to be one of those things where it will return false when it's done. And so then we'll have a time. And so, yeah, let's call it duration. Double duration. If you keep time separate, then like you could just put duration in and then have duration count down. But sometimes it's nice to be able to reset. So let's just steal this code for this one too. And this too. And so then if time plus equals step, if time is greater than duration, return false, otherwise keep going. So I'll move this into a base class at some point, probably. Actually, for jump up, yeah, we'll leave the duration for now. This basically would keep, regardless of whether we really need the duration, it will keep it the steering system from accidentally spamming. Whoops. Okay, so then in our update, before we do update body, do a bunch of context stuff. Man, I should really so before we get into the movement mode, oh, that's visualization stuff. And so even before we calculate steering, I think we want to branch off and so we would say if context.character action is not equal to null, else do all this stuff. And I think that's why I left it indented. Oh, yep. Except for this is not indented. It is now. So then we would do if not character blah 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 blah. Not character action update. Frame time step. So if it's done, we set it to null. Okay, so that should all be good. Oopsie. No such property character action for class body context. That is not true. Correct action. There we go. It's important to spell correctly. But yes, the idea is that the towns will be alive with NPCs doing their jobs and going about their day-to-day business. That you can create your own towns and hire people or attract people to your towns. And if that's what you choose to do, you'd have to, of course, get permission from the circle of guilds, get a town charter, so on and so forth, to show that you are part of the guild system. So all that's good. I need to make these actually do something. And so the step up action, we liked the way that worked. And we want to have probably a destination. I got totally lost here for a second. There we go. So for the jump up action, I think we just project up and forward, like add an impulse, like let me see what we do when the player presses the space bar. I think that is in here, player driver. Where's the jump? You see, all this is kind of like hacky. Jump. If jump. Clear any downward momentum we might still have, and then add the jump force. Jump force. So I think I think we're gonna want a destination, or at least a direction. So we get the jump to work first, because I think that's an impulse and then wait. Alright, yeah, let's set that, let's make that actually the impulse. And then we can calculate it how we want and not worry. And then, like, I can eventually put the calculation in here. And so we only want to do this if time equals 0. We'll set the impulse. And I think somewhere yeah, so I basically just set that's not what I wanted. Jump, 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 jump force. Yeah, so we just take the velocity and we set it right on the velocity. Yeah, let's try it. What do we use velocity for, though? Oh yeah, we're gonna need to have so the movement mode normally is what pushes the character around. So this whole driver thing, and so movement mode update calls maybe it just does it directly. So in update, yeah, it calculates the speed. I think I'm just going to try to add an impulse. Like, I think that's the more straightforward way of making something jump. Just have to remember what the method call is. Probably add force. Yep, so let's do add force. Twink, twink, twink. I'm too far. I went too far. So jump action, we will, the first time, we will say body, add force, impulse. Plus impulse. Okay, so all that should be good. And so then let's try it. Down here we decide we need to do the thing right here. And so we would set we'd say if it's big enough, blah, blah, blah. But for now, we'll just say that's where we want to go. We want to say context dot character action equals new jump up action body let's give it like a half a second before it can jump again. Oh, we want the anim pump as well. Let's figure out where anim pump is. No, I don't think for now we will want it. So for now I'm just going to pass null because I just don't want to. Well, we can get it from the driver, I guess. Okay, so for half a second before we can make the next jump, yeah, that seems good. And then we want flat dot add 0, comma. Let's see what happens if we do that. Alright. Alright, let's see what kind of crazy shenanigans we get into. And I'll explain what I did. Okay, so over here. Okay, so we didn't give it enough force. Okay, let's do it something crazy just so we can see something happen. Let's make it 900. Let's see how that works. And actually, I'm going to say log info jump. We could have also played with, like, hook up a key for this. I think I used to have a little jump button right here. Whoops, control. Alright, let's see. I mean, it's trying to jump. Alright, let's see. No, it's not even moving up at all. It's definitely jumping. I saw the logs go by. Jump! So let's let's make sure that's doing what I think it's doing. Control. Alright. So jump. Fairly significantly backwards, or I wonder if that's giving us friction. Oh, I was about to take a piece of gum out, but you guys probably would not appreciate me chewing gum. I just finished my Pepsi. Okay. So let's just go straight up. Just to make sure we're not hitting like friction on the wall. And we'll do it over here. I keep hitting tab to control. No, I don't. Maybe I need to do a sustained Addition of impulse. Let's just try a really, really big impulse. What's your favorite kind of soda? Pepsi. I drink a lot of it. Much less than I used to, in my defense. Oops. Drink. Control. Oh, it went up. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. Okay, so not quite. So that is actually a really small impulse. Okay. Actually, the impulse should be based on the mass of the. Yeah. Okay. So so that's just we're just using too small of an impulse is all. Pepsi Man. I'm not sure I get the reference. Okay, so that should be enough to get us up these at least. Ah, we got up. Yeah, there's something weird going on there. I need to actually jump up and forward. Oh. I think I remember. Pepsi Man. Let's see if we double it, what happens. At some point we hit a threshold where bad things will happen. Like that. Yeah, so the fact that we're not jumping forward, yeah. We've also got to sort of maintain our original direction as much as possible, because we're getting like... This is what I was talking about. If we just jump straight up, we won't get to where we need to be. So let me try coming back here. Oh, we decided that wasn't enough, actually. Anyway, let's try it. Whoops. Hey, it worked. Sort of. Yeah, it's just not getting us up high enough. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to maintain the orientation we had. Let's try. I don't know. See, this is what I get in these. Because it's iterative, I get in these. Or because I get such like quick feedback, I do these iterations where I'm not like really solving any problems. Yeah. So what we need to do is more like we need to vec3d jumpdir equals flat. Add, and then take a couple zeros off. Oops, wrong way. Pulse. Jumpdir. So jump forward and up. Keep hitting tab to control it. Hey. Yeah, so we get all of our forward momentum killed right away. So that's interesting. Maybe we just... So the other thing we could do is we could add a smaller impulse, but just keep doing it. So let's do this. And instead of that kind of jump, we'll do a continuous jump. Where'd my stuff go? Here we go. So instead of just at time equals 0, we'll do it for the full half a second. No, that's not doing anything. Okay, so body add force is not what we want. Unless we make that impulse a lot bigger. So let's try 100. 100. Let's try 100. Control. Control. Woo! Too much. Let her fall back down. Yeah. Physics is fun sometimes. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that was too much. Let's try 10. Son of a bitch. And it's still not going forward. That's what's annoying. Why isn't it going forward? See, as soon as it jumps, it's supposed to move forward, and what I need to do is add a jump button so we could play with... I used to have a jump button. Let me see what the old jump button used to do. Pretty sure, 99% sure I had a jump button in one of these. Jump. That's in setup driver, which is the old one. And that just set the linear velocity flat out. One time. I mean, we could try it. Actually, let's add the let's just add this over to here so we can test it out. Set mob action control. Wait, this is in... Yeah, that's fine. Jump. Okay, so now we have a jump button. Boink. Boink. Control. I just want to see how big the jump is compared to jump. Center. Jump. Okay, so that jump would get us up above a small one like this. So probably it needs to be a little higher. Let's try 10. Whoa, too high. Way too high. So this is a very sensitive little adjustment here. Okay, so that probably gets us up to the... Okay, and probably we want to move a little bit forward too. So we would want to say agent rigid body orientation dot mult vec 3D unit Z facing dot y equals 5, and then set it to facing. Okay, now let's see what happens when we jump. It should make us jump forward. It did not. Maybe a little bit. Yeah, it's making us jump a little bit forward. But I think if we were right up near a wall, it wouldn't matter. Yes, that's the thing, is we need to move forward as part of the arc. We don't need to just immediately jump forward. So jump needs to be let's say facing dot mult to mult local. Let's try this. Jump, 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 jump. Okay, but see, I think if we're right up next to the thing. So we're right up next to the thing now. Center camera. Jump, jump, jump. Yeah, see, we need to move forward after we get to the top. Yeah. Yeah, you can just keep jumping. Okay, so we need a little more nuance in our jump. That's a good thing we have an action. So I think... Okay, so what did our other thing do? Let's see that again. Too high. And it didn't move us forward anyway. Okay. Okay, so the thing is, if we balanced our forces a little better, so let's look for the jump up action again. So like make everything big. Control. Control. So that almost worked. We're getting there. It's like way too big of a jump, of course. Alright, let's back it up a little bit. So we'll add 1. Make this 500. Let's see what happens. No, see, it's not even enough to get it up. Well, first of all, we need to cap the we need to like get the starting orientation in. Oh, we went back to adding force. Maybe I shouldn't be adding force. Is there a way to just add velocity? Add linear velocity. Doink. So let's instead try body, add linear velocity, impulse, and body, orientation set, orientation. We're gonna be like way too jumpy this time. Oh my goodness. We are still traveling up. Well, we're slowing down now. Alright, well, I think, yeah, so we're falling, but I think when I reset, it'll reset that too. So we would need a much smaller impulse for one thing when we're just adding directly to the linear velocity. So we don't need to, yeah, probably let's go back to 1 here. So I think I reset it when I come back here. Nope. Yeah, we're still traveling up. Alright, let's just restart. Sometimes we do, yeah, more space travel. La 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 la. I have a pop-up band that I created, well, that I organized with some other open mic people. We're doing a Christmas set on Wednesday. Like, we practiced one time, we'll maybe practice one more time. So they're a little kind of just for fun, not for serious. And so now I've got like all these Christmas songs running through my head. All right, let's see what happens with this. Control. All right. Whoa, okay, so even that's pretty crazy. Whee! Okay, so what happens if I just bump it? Boink. Oh yeah, we go shooting way forward. Onto the other side of the wall. Yeah, I can't get back in. Well, I can if I go like this. Jump, 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 jump. Jump, 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 jump. Oh, whoops! I didn't get it quick enough. All right. Jump, 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 jump. Control. Oh man, it turned me around. So let's go around to the other side of the. Thinks it's not gonna let me get up there. I didn't give myself a way back in. Alright, jump, 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 jump. Whoops. Oh well. Okay, that's another way to do it. Accidentally delete. Okay. So it's either for too much or too long. Let's try a little bit. Control. Hey, we got up there. Okay, so that part works. It's just way too high. Let me see what that looks like coming off of one of these. Maybe it's... Yeah, so it's not actually working. So it's not doing it for long enough and it's doing it for too much. So, oh, because I keep adding it back and I'm not resetting it. Like every frame I add more. So we should be able to do it for a little bit longer. This is not the right way to do this. Okay. So longer. I think 0.5 was probably a good duration. It almost makes it up. Let's try over here. Yeah, she makes it up with those little jumps. But that's not really a jump forward. Okay, I think what we need is the... I think I need to do this a different way. I think we want that first jump up impulse. Okay, so we'll get like a forward part of that impulse. And so if time is 0, we will add the initial impulse. Else we will add the forward impulse. Uh-oh, something doesn't like that. Oh, the 3D. There we go. Okay, so this is going to be way too small, I think. Okay, I think I just want to confirm the time. Uh-oh, something didn't like that. No such property log. Oh, yeah. We don't have logs inside that little inner classes, unfortunately. Yeah, so it's doing its jump thing, and we need more force, basically. So let's look at this again. Okay, so let's 10, 1. Let's see what happens if we do that. Okay, that was a very, very firm jump. Just like we jumped up to exactly where we wanted to be. We just did it in a really high way. So I think let's just try that at 1 and see what happens. I think it needs to be like 5. That's what we decided. And it's probably based on the weight of the character too. It jumps up a little bit. Okay, so let's try 5 again. That was weird. Like, I don't know why it doesn't move forward like it's supposed to. Yeah, because she should have still been moving forward. That entire time of the jump, she should have been moving forward. Probably because it's an impulse, and impulses get divided by the it's a force, and force equals mass times acceleration, which means that to get acceleration from the force, we're going to divide by the, anyway, it needs to be bigger because we're going to, mass is going to factor in. Hey, look at that. And it won't be big enough to jump up here. Oh, it is, just barely. Okay, so we've got kind of a rudimentary jump action. I kind of felt like we were jumping too far forward over here, though. No, actually, that's about right. Why did we not really jump very high this way, though? And so this we jumped really short. Why did we jump a long way here? Or did we do a double jump? No, that's just not working. Why did it work this way? Must have been a figment of my imagination. Or if I continue to hold the... Oh, see, it kind of works sometimes. It's too bad I can't see the feet in this shrunk down view here. Probably I need to raise the camera pivot. Yeah, so there's some tweaking to work out. You can kind of see how this kind of goes over and over and over and over and over again until I get it right. But I think I'm going to have to spend some time with this. This is probably where I'm going to cut it off. Does anybody have any questions before I pull the plug on the live stream? questions, comments, concerns. I'll give it a minute while I switch over screens. Otherwise, thanks for joining, everyone. Oh, it didn't do the closing music. There we go. So thanks for joining. Like, comment, subscribe. If you would like to become a patron, that's another way you can help me out. Anyway, it's been a pleasure, and I hope you have a productive, creative week, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks.